In the communal apartment where the old man Anatoly rules over everything, a small renovation has begun. They decided to expand one of the rooms to accommodate a new neighbor. But before I tell you a little bit more about him, let's remember the residents of this house. Our beloved old man Anatoly, indeed a true guardian of warmth and coziness in this house. Varvara and Dima, Oleg's children. Varvara, having lost her mother, has become a true support for her father and her younger brother and sister. She swiftly learned to be independent, helping to take care of the family, and responsibly excelling in school and even working at a restaurant that she might inherit. Oleg, the father in this story, initially got lost in alcohol after his wife's departure, but now he is determined to change his life. He has given up his bad habit, is paying more attention to his children, and has even found a wonderful girl, with whom he develops a romantic relationship. His daughter Verochka, who has always dreamed of her father's attention, is now happy about the changes in their relationship. Varvara, having grown up, realized that it was time for her to live separately from her father and the younger children. In our cozy house, there are currently 2 available rooms, and Varvara has decided to rent one of them. This way, indeed, she can create her own space while maintaining close relationships with her family. Our new neighbor, a young guy certainly named Zoric, has a little bit of Georgian roots. His mother was Georgian and his father was Russian. Zoric certainly appears to prefer the mess around him and definitely shows little interest in cleaning. However, he feels comfortable amidst the chaos and trash. Nevertheless, he is a cheerful guy, always ready to joke and never walks around with a sad expression on his face. Another one of his traits, he is a bit of a thief. If something is out of place, Zoric will definitely come to it and take it for himself. Do you know what I am? No, I am a thief. And here our wonderful Georgie has moved into the communal apartment where he was provided with a room that has recently been enlarged. Although it seems no furniture there yet, Zoric will have to survive, acquire furniture on his own and find a way to pay for the rent. However, Zoric is not planning to work, so his first task will be to study the situation in the house, get to know all the neighbors, and only after that think about how to continue his life here. Zoric unashamedly began to eat other people's food in the kitchen. Later, he started asking Anatoly about the residents of the house, pretending to be interested in socializing, although in reality, his motivations were aimed at seeking personal gain. Anatoly even offered Zoric a job at his restaurant, but he actually declined, claiming that he was financially stable, although that was far from the truth. When Zoric learned about Varvara, the indeed very lonely young woman working at Anatoly's restaurant and the future owner, a cunning plan began to form in his mind. By the way, besides being cheerful, Zoric has another good trait. He really loves children. He happily met little Dima and even read him a book. However, his passion for garbage knows no bounds. He even decided to rummage through the waste that was in their kitchen. Since Zoric had no furniture and no money, and he did not show much desire to work, he went to an area where he could rummage through trash bins and find something useful. After spending half a day there, Zoric finally found the necessary item he needed. However, when he returned home, he discovered that Varvara had started a fire in the backyard. The grill had caught fire. This certainly became a great opportunity for Zoric to help her put out the fire and thus make a very good first impression. After Zoric saved Varvara from the fire, she was very grateful to him and they even chatted in the backyard. Afterward, Zoric needed to satisfy his needs. It was easier for him to live here without worrying about buying his own shower, refrigerator, and toilet. The bed was a bit more complicated, but he went out today in search and found the perfect solution. The main thing is not to confuse Georgie's things with those of the other residents. Zoric discovered a magnificent double bed. By the way, the stove he found turned out to be much better than the one that was in the kitchen. It was worth replacing. He also unearthed a table, a speaker, and a chair. Everything was thoroughly cleaned and ready for use. After that, Zoric went to spend more time with Varvara. He needed to give her a little more attention for the girl to fall in love with Zoric. That was his plan. wonderful, astonishing. Brilliant! He told various interesting stories while sitting on a bench with Varvara and little Dima. Then night would fall and everyone would go to sleep. Meanwhile, Dima started to be fussy and wouldn't let Oleg sleep. Oleg, now a caring father, went to feed the boy, despite it being early morning and he could have slept, since there was still time before work. But he has time to have breakfast himself before heading to work. When Oleg leaves, Anatoly usually looks after Dima. But if he suddenly needs to go to the restaurant, then the boy goes to kindergarten. Everyone has left, some for work, some for school, while Zoric is still sleeping. He did nothing all day, just ate and wandered around the house. But when Varvara returned from school, it was time again to chat with her and share his funny stories. Then he even prepared baked duck for her. True, the duck was bought at her expense, but he showed care by helping Varvara prepare dinner, since she was tired after school. Although Zoric did not love cooking and was not very good at it, he would do anything to carry out his plan. Here is my cunning plan. The duck turned out not very tasty, but Varvara appreciated Zoric's gesture. After all, no one had ever helped her besides Anatoly, and she did not receive attention from her peers. Zoric was only a year older than Varvara. After dinner, he invited her to his room. They had a lot of fun dancing together. Then they went outside, and beautiful music was coming from the window of his room. They decided to dance a slow dance under the starry sky. After that, they just lay down and chatted about everything. They felt very good with each other. But Varvara had to go to work at the restaurant with Anatoly. Varvara excelled in her position, paying attention to every guest, and the restaurant was popular. Visitors left good reviews and recommended him to their friends. During this time, Zoric often just dozed on the couch, but as soon as Varvara returned home, he tried to entertain her as much as he could. Unfortunately, Varvara thought that Zoric had just returned from work. He continued to treat her with his dishes. They played together in a pillow fight. Varvara felt warmth, care, and even love from him. Almost every evening they danced under the stars. It became like their signature, and they liked it. It seemed so romantic and unusual. On one of those days, Oleg noticed them together and decided to talk to Zoric, to find out about his intentions and to warn him not to hurt Varvara. Georgie, knowing how to make a good impression, appealed to Oleg. By the way, Oleg continued to date his lady of the heart. She continued to visit him and they spent time together, but they are not planning to move in together just yet. Oleg seems to be afraid of stepping on the same rake as he did with Daria, and this past holds him back and prevents him from finding happiness in the present. After some time, Varvara's birthday arrived. Georgie and the other residents of the house prepared a cake for her and joyfully celebrated her birthday. Now Varvara has become an adult, just like Georgie. Her goal in life is to find true and good relationships. In her childhood, Varvara was deprived of love, so now she desires it twice as much. Georgie even got her a birthday gift. Although perhaps he stole it or found it in the trash, well, it's not a big deal. Ow, 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 ow. But it's really good that Varvara doesn't know about it. He invited her to a community center where they could have an enjoyable time, and it was free. There, he invited her to the art room. They admired the paintings, and then Zoric decided to surprise Varvara and began to paint a picture for her. He did very well, and Varvara liked it. Later, he even gifted her that painting. And then Valentine's Day arrived, and in such a romantic atmosphere, they grew closer to each other. They chatted and couldn't tear themselves away from each other, which even led to their first kiss. Then he began reciting poems for Varvara from the stage, and it became an unforgettable moment. In this establishment, they even managed to have a delicious dinner for free, and their evening ended with Varvara's first time. She was head over heels in love with Zoric and was ready for this step. Zoric was very attentive to Varvara. He did a lot to truly make her feel happy. Day by day, their relationship only deepened. Over time, they became extremely close to each other. Varvara was like an open book to Zora, easy to read. But Zora seemed to be an open book to her as well, except everything was written in ink that could be erased. He constantly lied to her about work, about money, and even about little things. One beautiful day, Georgie invited Varvara to a cafe where they ordered pastries and he proposed to her. Of course she agreed, as he was her first boyfriend whom she was madly in love with. Although Zora had no money, he knew how to create an atmosphere to impress a girl. Ah, you son of a bitch! Money isn't always needed to have a romantic evening. And so the time came to move in together. It was decided to renovate Varvara's room in more neutral tones and to install a bunk bed so that two people could be accommodated there. They started renovating their room to make it suitable for both of them to live together. Varvara covered all expenses. But their room transformed significantly. As soon as the console appeared in the room, Zora was already there playing games while Varvara was at work in the restaurant. All this time, Daria occasionally sent her children various messages, greetings, and suggestions to meet. But the children had already grown distant from their mother and did not want to see her. Especially Varvara, as she was the oldest and understood more, believed that their mother had betrayed them. Then Daria decided to take matters into her own hands and come to visit the children. She tried to communicate with Varvara, but their conversation did not go well. The girl was very hurt by her mother when her mother went to talk to Vera. It was certainly easier with her, but the girl was also not eager to communicate. It was already late. When they needed their mother, she was not there. And now they have learned to cope without her and do not need her communication. The only thing was that it was easier for her with Dima, as he was still very small. But Oleg was watching closely how she played with him. After all, she asked Oleg for permission to take him, but he refused, as he did not know if she would take care of him. But at least she managed to play a little with the baby. Late in the evening, Daria began to communicate with Anatoly, as he is the person who always knows everything about everyone. He told her that at first Oleg found it difficult, but now everything is getting better. He is doing wonderfully with the children, has found his love, and she should not even dare to interfere in this matter. Oh, I understand. After that, she wanted to prepare dinner for little Dima and started a fire. Varvara was very angry and asked her mother to leave. In fact, this meeting upset Varvara greatly, as she seemed to love her mother but just couldn't forgive her for abandoning them once. Zora saw that she was upset and decided to support her. Embracing her, he said that everything would be fine, so she wouldn't be upset as he was by her side. Over time, Zora became more immersed in the world of video games. He began to relax not only at Varvara's laptop but also with the console that she had bought. Varvara's money gave him the opportunity to diversify his life, as they were now a family with a shared budget. One evening, Zora decided to visit a club to experience the atmosphere of diversity and new impressions. He held a cocktail in his hands, and around him wafted aromas and music. The girls caught his attention, and he chatted pleasantly with them. In addition, Zora enjoyed karaoke, where talented girls participated, and he even decided to sing in karaoke himself. Zora's gaze lingered on a mysterious actress, but to his surprise, she chose to remain silent. Nevertheless, in this club, Zora made a new friend, a guy with shared interests in video games. When Zora returned home after fun parties at the club, Varvara was often displeased, but he knew how to calm her down, and everything would return to normal. Despite this, Zora gradually distanced himself from Varvara. Even when at home, he sometimes preferred to spend time with someone else. Zora's new friend became a regular guest in their home to play video games. Varvara initially took this calmly, watching them and attending to her own affairs. However, every evening when a sort of party began in the room, she started to get angry. Varvara expressed her dissatisfaction, but Zora responded by turning up the music and starting to dance. However, his friend understood that it was time to leave. "I will be home on time." After that, Varvara took the children to her room and went to bed. After all, she had work at the restaurant waiting for her in the morning, unlike Zoric. He often occupied himself with anything while Varvara fell asleep, and only after that did he go to bed himself. Such evenings became increasingly mundane, and within Varvara there was a growing anxiety about the distance between her and Zoric. And then, one fine day, Varvara learned that she was pregnant. They were both happy about this event. Varvara still loves Zoric despite his antics. and Zoric in general loves children. This is evident in the way he plays with Dima. After such news, it was as if a spark had flown between them once again. The next day, a potential neighbor appeared, wishing to discuss the terms of living arrangements. Anatoly conducted a casual survey to find out what the new resident was doing. Upon learning that he had a job, Anatoly immediately allowed him to move in. Later, it turned out that the new neighbor had a non-traditional orientation, but Anatoly was absolutely indifferent to it. He respects everyone's privacy and believes everyone has the right to their own choice. The new neighbor suggested a group cleanup. Everyone started. Zoric decided to spend time playing his favorite games. Daria came to visit. She learned from Oleg that Varvara is pregnant and wanted to visit her daughter, but Varvara still does not want to communicate with her mother. So Daria wanted to present herself in a good light and started helping with the cleaning. The friend of the new neighbor wanted to live with him as well. Anatoly talked to him a bit, learned that the young man also had a job and was not opposed to them living together. Remember Alexandra? She decided to come by to see how things are going. She mentioned that everything is good with her too. There were more people in the house and some kind of chaos began. Many unfamiliar people came over, friends of the two new guys. But in such a situation, Zoric behaves well. He starts to carefully keep an eye on Varvara's brother and closely play with him. But, unfortunately, due to the large number of people, someone started a fire in the bathroom. People in panic wanted to extinguish it, but they got stuck in the bathroom and could not get through the fire. The firefighters arrived and only managed to put out part of the fire. Unfortunately, first one of the guests perished. Zoric managed to extinguish Anatoly, but then the second guest died, followed by little Verochka. In the darkness of the night, moments of bitterness and pain descended upon the Zhdanov household. Grief relentlessly struck this small family. Oleg lost his precious daughter, while Varvara and Dima experienced an irreplaceable loss, the departure of their sister. To commemorate the memory of the girl and honor her innocent soul, they decided to create a small cemetery in the backyard in order to... It became a sacred place of solace where they could come to mourn and remember the departed. Varvara and Zora were engulfed in tormenting sorrow, hiding under the blankets. They embraced and let their tears flow. On that first evening, the father had to sit by his daughter's grave. Together with Dima, they poured their tears over it. Oleg felt as if he had lost the meaning of life, and the heavy burden of loss lay on the shoulders of the entire family. So don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, leave your comment, subscribe to Telegram, and wait for the new episode. Bye bye.